So next I want to talk a little bit about hosting your website and sort of where to get started. If you already purchased your domain using Google Domains or GoDaddy, then that's great. To change it over to hosting, all you have to do is unlock it and change your DNS. I'm only telling you that. I know it's sort of technical, and if you've worked in IT or have any sort of web design experience, you do know what I'm talking about. But if you don't, it's okay because I'm just trying to tell you that it's only 2 steps to get your domain added to a hosting account. Your domain is what URL your site sits on, and the hosting is sort of the foundation that you're building your website on. It's where your files are stored. It's where everything is delivered from. So even though it's GoDaddy.com is sitting here on this domain, what you're going to be purchasing other than the domain is the hosting right here. So this is another option for hosting. GoDaddy and WP Engine I recommend. I've had some issues with Bluehost lately. Their security is really good. But unfortunately it means that doing a lot of customization with WordPress can be difficult. But you don't have to worry about that because you're just keeping it simple for the time being. WP Engine is extremely fast. If you're going to go with a WordPress site, then WP Engine is a really good place to host. You don't buy your domain from WP Engine. This is hosting only. So you would buy your domain from somewhere like Google Domains or GoDaddy, and then simply transfer that domain information over to WP Engine. There are representatives with WP Engine or any hosting company that can help you. I recommend GoDaddy, Bluehost, and WP Engine to my clients simply because there's a live chat that lets you not have to sit on the phone for an hour. I've had 99% of the problems that I've had with hosting solved using these online chat reps. And they can also help you move your website over if you, for instance, have been hosting your website using GoDaddy and haven't been super happy with it. Then WP Engine gives you a plugin to use in WordPress that seamlessly transfers all of your files over at the click of a button. It's extremely easy to use, and even though I've not had too many issues developing for GoDaddy websites, I have had people struggle with GoDaddy for hosting in the past. But basically, once you have your hosting account, I recommend doing cPanel hosting. WP Engine uses FTP, and the difference is that with cPanel hosting, you have all of these options for customizing your backend environment, and it can be rather confusing. With WP Engine, they set up WordPress for you, and if you want to edit the back end of WordPress, then you just log in, going to WP admin right here. So if you want to learn more about WP Engine, I encourage you to go to wpengine.com and see their plans and possibly even talk to a representative about how you can move your website over or host your website with WP Engine. But to describe hosting a little further for those who aren't as well versed in technology and how websites work, I'm going to sort of show you 2 options that you have with hosting. The first is what's called a managed WordPress hosting, and the second is called cPanel. So a managed WordPress site is something similar to what WP Engine does, where they install WordPress for you, and basically all you have to do is log into your website at WP admin right here. This is the page that you see when you first log in. So the goal is basically to get to this page, and when you use a managed WordPress website, either through WP Engine or through, here's on GoDaddy, let me go to hosting. So here it is, WordPress hosting. This is another example of what a managed WordPress hosting environment is like. They take care of the WordPress installation and automatically provide you with your login details. So it's pretty straightforward. If you're looking to cut corners and just get to your WordPress backend and not have to fiddle with complicated backend panels, it's a good idea to just start off with WordPress hosting. The thing is that customizing the FTP environment or the framework that WordPress sits on with a managed WordPress hosting environment will require what's called FTP using a program like this. And I'm not going to, this is getting a little technical. I know that I don't really want to go into that huge of detail. But you would basically have to have a designer or a virtual assistant who's well versed in FTP technology to help you out in just adding files. For instance, if you wanted to install a web font on your website, you would most likely need a designer or a developer to help you add those files to your site using FTP. It might be simpler right off the bat to go with WordPress hosting, but because you can't easily add files to your server, I oftentimes recommend to my clients that they go with cPanel. Here's the backend. This is for one of my clients. This is the backend cPanel for a GoDaddy account. So cPanel, if you go down to web hosting, you'll see the different options that you have with GoDaddy for Linux cPanel hosting. And this is just the more classic way of running a website. With cPanel hosting, you can install WordPress, but you can also install any number of Shopify or Drupal, any sort of framework that your website sits on, the foundation, as I call it. That's what I sort of compare to what WordPress is the foundation that the house of your website sits on. So it gives you more options, but it's also marginally more complicated. But I'm actually going to talk you through it right now so that if you do want to not cut corners and do a more robust hosting plan, then you would know what to do. So if you go here to godaddy.com/hosting, you see that if you need multiple websites made, it's probably a good idea to just drop that extra $1 a month. Going with a plan like Deluxe is good if you want to have some sort of program membership site that is separate from your main website. My client Louisa Jo does that with her website, where her main website sits at louisajo.com, but her program members log in to programs.louisajo.com. So that would be something that's handled under an unlimited websites plan. One website is one domain, super easy. Whether or not this allows for multiple installations of WordPress, I'm not really sure, because I've only done the Deluxe, and that's what I recommend. So back in the cPanel, to install WordPress, so you're going to be sort of dropped into, once you log into your cPanel and you purchase your hosting, you're dropped here. And this looks super duper complicated, but the only piece that you're really going to need to look for is something that sounds like install app or installatron, anything like that. If you use HostGator or Bluehost, it's going to be some derivative of installatron. So if you click on here, then you're brought to an applications page where you can see what's installed and get other applications potentially installed on your computer. You're just going to want to go to WordPress and install WordPress from the applications browser. So if you go here, you're just going to kind of scroll down until you see WordPress. Click on WordPress and just fill in what they ask for. When you click install this application, you're brought to a page where you can set which domain you want it installed on. A lot of times you're going to want to install it on some sort of subdomain like success, and then by enabling WordPress multi-site, funnel all of that into your main website later. That's a little bit more advanced. So if you're just starting out, you can just install WordPress right on your primary domain. Let's see, accepting all the license agreements. You are probably going to want to choose a username and password now that you can remember. This is where you set your administrative email, but that's pretty much it. I mean, it kind of takes care of it for you. Just click install and you are good to go.